Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 8th December 2016. The first article is related to federalism. Constitutionally, Indian federalism is biased towards the center. But functionally, in the last decade, if we see, it has got shifted towards the states. The major reason is growth of coalition politics and the strengthening of the regional parties in India. If we see during Indira Gandhi era, the federalism is strongly shifted in favor of the center, but later the things have changed. Now today, with Modi at the helm of affairs and the government at the center having the substantial majority, then the politics appears to be shifting in favor of the center again. Now let us see the GST, the shift of taxation system in favor of the center, and then development of common market. Added to that, new schemes such as Uday, changing role of Rajya Sabha, all this reflects the growing strength of the center in center-state relations and decreasing bargaining power of the states vis-a-vis the center. Now, this narrative can be objected in the name of cooperative federalism. But however, let us talk about the Rajya Sabha and its role in this context. You all know that most of the bills are being introduced as the money bills to bypass the Rajya Sabha. And the qualifications today do not require a person to reside in that particular state to get elected from the state to Rajya Sabha. So in these circumstances, the question that do Rajya Sabha really reflects the interests of the states is coming into forefront. So the next thing is, in Tamil Nadu, both the regional parties are strongly in favor of a federalism. But surprisingly, the Article 356 is most misused in Tamil Nadu itself. And it can be attributed to the politics of vengeance that are popular in Tamil Nadu. As Jayalalitha has passed away now, then there can be a reapproachment between the Dravidian political parties in the best interests of the federalism. And a new leadership is also coming up in DMK, then it is the time for the realignment between the parties. And coming to, let's get into the RBI's big surprise. Now, after demonetization, it's a natural expectation that the money flow with the banks is increasing and RBI will decrease the deposit rates and also the interest rates. Surprisingly, RBI kept its monetary policy intact. It did not change the rates. What might be the reasons for the same? The thing is, after the Trump has elected to the presidency in the United States, then the US and the environment is fast changing in the US. US Fed is also likely to raise the interest rates as the employment rate has become normal in the United States now. So as the interest rates gets raised in US, the flight of capital is the next event. Because whenever there is uncertainty, people try to shift their capital to the more certain land. And as the interest rates increases, it becomes much favorable land for the capital. And the second thing, the global crude oil prices are going to increase. The OPEC has decided to cut down the production. It means that the demand is bound to go up and the price are also expected to go up. And under the inflation targeting, the inflation is expected to be maintained below 5%. And there are fears of rising the costs of this particular thing. And the growth projections are also been lowered after the demonetization to 7.1. So these are the RBI's monetary policy stances. Mr. Cho Ramaswamy, the journalist, writer, editor of Tughlaq, has passed away, and he is a nationalist, center-rightist, and he is known for his strong views against the AIDMK and DMK's feudal politics, and he has passed away in Chennai. And then demonetization is for the long run. So now, remember this way, the populistic socialism during Indira Gandhi era, the socialistic narrative during Nehruvian era failed to provide for the failed to provide for the employment and wealth to the people. And then 1990s reforms, yes, they have given the wealth to the people, but at the same time inequalities and corruption have increased. So in this context, the crony capitalism is rising in the country, and this crony capitalism can be said as this: the government favors only certain people with its regulatory power, and that the favorable treatment from the government is leading to the benefits, and it is leading to a ruleless capitalism. So from ruleless capitalism to a rule-based capitalism we need to shift, and the competition shall exist the markets to function. So in this scenario what we need to do is we have to ensure a rule-based capitalism and the clean government. Then only we can sustain the particular growth which India is ensuring for. At the same time, today we also have a new era of entrepreneurship. The young entrepreneurs are rising in India, and startup and stand-up like schemes are to promote this young entrepreneurship. And the digital economy is booming, and it can provide for the necessary transparency. So transparency in the base of secrecy, rulelessness to the rule-oriented capitalism, corrupt to clean government, and less growth to the more growth. This is what this article talks about. So in this context, let's talk about the transparency and its role. You all know all the governments in the West, they also faced this phase of corruption and inequality. But over a period of time, it got replaced with the rule-based capitalism, which also has cleaned the governments over there. And if rule-based capitalism is absent, the people can see the government as favoring the rich. It may lead to popular movements in the country. So, the demonetization is a drive towards this effect. The continental shift. The politics are fast changing in Europe. One way the far-right parties are growing in significance, you can see that in Brexit referendum and also growth of the Marine Le Pen in the case of France. But there are surprises here and there. In this week, if you see in Austria, the victory of Alexander van der Bellen, a pro-European Union, a pro-liberal, is a surprise. At the same time, on the other side, in Italy, the pro-European liberal Mr. Matteo Renzi, he lost the referendum on the constitutional amendment. So it means the European voter is becoming more and more unpredictable. So in this context, the parties in the Europe cannot take the voter for granted. And it is 3 years after Kaushal judgment. So the Kaushal judgment by the Supreme Court in Naj Foundation versus Kaushal has upheld the section 377 of the Indian Penal Code that criminalizes the sex or else unnatural sex, and it is going to criminalize the entire community of the LGBTs. So in this context, the same Supreme Court also has said that LGBTs need to be recognized as a third gender, and it is been seen as a weakening of the rights movement in India. That's what this article talks about. Now coming to the upper house, and it talks about the role of the parliament in Brexit. You know that the parliament sovereignty exists in Britain, and unwritten constitution makes the parliament the supreme. So in the Brexit referendum, does the parliament has any authority? This is what is in question. So there is a dilemma over here. One way the parliament's role as the guardian of the nation has to be protected, and at the same time it shall not appear in such a way that it is violating the popular will which has been expressed through the Brexit. So the House of the Lords, the upper house, gets its power as with its expertise of the people, expertise of the advice. So in this context, the parliamentary role of it shall get redefined is in question. And let's get into the demonetization drive. As we have discussed, it has worst affected the rural India, where the informal economy is dominating and the banking sector did not reach to the grassroots level. And then coming to benefits of demonetization, according to the finance minister, they will be in long term, where India will be shifting from cash economy to the digital economy, and more the transactions of the people with the business gets reported to the government and decreases the avenues for tax evasion. Now let's refer the guardians of federalism, what this article talks about. So there is a shift towards the centralization, and in this context, the states have to stand strong to gain their bargaining power. RBI's big surprise. The interest rates remained unchanged in the monetary policy of RBI. It is due to inflation pressures from rising crude oil prices and also rise in interest rates by the US Fed. And Cho Ramaswamy passed away. On the perspective page, demonetization is for the long run. So the rule-based capitalism and clean government are essential for new emerging India, and demonetization is a drive in that direction. The continental shift, the voters in Europe are becoming more unpredictable. 3 years of Kaushal judgment has upheld the legal validity of Section 377 that criminalizes the LGBT community. And House of Lords divided on Brexit role. So it is a challenge between popular vote and the parliamentary sovereignty in the case of UK. And ISRO launched Resource Sat 2, which will be used for agriculture. And then the question of the day, it is about changing landscape of politics in India, how the centralization is growing. In this, what are the role of Rajya Sabha, and added to that, the political economy, how it is shifting in favor of the center, tax distribution, all these things you can discuss in this particular question. Thank you very much. As today I have a flight to catch at 6 o'clock, I'm traveling to Delhi. So this Indian Express was not uploaded on time, so I was unable to do that. Thank you very much and all the best.